And I am joining you today to present 3 books of historical fiction, all set in World War II. Historical fiction can make a time period come to life more than a textbook. A historical fiction title can give you a sense of being there in the moment and can give an appreciation of the thoughts and fears that real people may have had at those times. Reading historical fiction can give deeper insight into how people lived in the past and why they may have made the decisions that they made. Our first book is Code Talker by Joseph Bruchac. This is a fascinating book because it gives insight into a real program that played a vital role in the war effort in the Pacific. However, this program was kept secret for many years and it wasn't actually declassified until 1968. The Army and Marines used Navajo recruits to encode and transmit messages for American armed forces in the Pacific Theater. This code was never broken. In the novel Code Talker, the story is not just about the war. It contains Navajo history, particularly expectations for assimilation that were prevalent at the beginning of the 20th century. The novel also causes one to consider ideas such as heroism and patriotism despite discrimination. The book also offers a thoughtful perspective of war and peace. Bruchac presents the story as told from the viewpoint of a grandfather or a tribal elder reminiscing to his family or the tribe. The grandfather tells of his early childhood, his training, both Army training and training to be a code talker, and being involved in the war in the Pacific. As a child, the narrator was given the name Ned Begay at the mission school he attended. He felt that his heritage, everything about him being a Navajo, was stripped from him. Still, the Navajo code talkers called America our mother. In World War II, Begay lies about his age to join the Marines. And it is his Navajo language that is of vital importance to his fellow soldiers. Bruchac includes some very wry and funny descriptions of how Begay is treated during his basic training. Being Indians, Begay says, we were used to the white men shouting at us and telling us we were worthless and stupid. You might be interested in this book if you like war stories, history, or Native American stories. That's Code Talker by Joseph Bruchac.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
Our second book is Codenamed Verity by Elizabeth Fine. This book is set in Great Britain and for the most part takes place earlier in the war, before America joins the Allies. The novel has 2 main protagonists, Maddie and Queenie, both female. And like Code Talker, this book is also told as a recount. But in Codenamed Verity, one of the main characters has been captured and is making a confession to her German captors. What secrets will she reveal? Will she manage to escape her captors? If you are interested in the women's movement or women in wartime, you should be interested in this book. The author provides a lot of carefully researched details about flying and aviation that could be of interest to boys as well. During World War II, there were opportunities for women to fly airplanes and be radar monitors and help transport airplanes from one base to another base. They didn't do any combat flying, but they did have opportunities to work with planes. stories of Rosie the Riveter in America describe the way that women went to work to fulfill the demand for labor when manufacturing was ramped up in World War II. In England, the demand for airplanes and people to fly them and deliver them opened up opportunities for women pilots. It is an aspect of history sometimes overlooked, but very interesting. As a caveat, anyone starting this book should be advised to read closely because the main characters use code names, there are questions of truthfulness, and the perspective shifts halfway through the book. All of these things combine to make the book a more complex read. Codename Verity is an excellent example of what your English teacher would call Ernest Hemingway's Grace Under Pressure. It is a Michael Prince honor book, Codename Verity by Elizabeth Fine. Our last book is Girl in the Blue Coat by Monica Hess. The novel is set in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. It is the winner of the Edgar Award for the Best Young Adult Mystery, and I hope I do an adequate job pronouncing the Dutch name. Hanneke is a young lady in Amsterdam who works for an undertaker, but her employer is also involved in selling and trading on the black market. Hanneke participates to support her parents. Hanneke's boyfriend was killed in the German invasion, and she still grieves for him 2 years later. As she is out making deliveries, Hanneke is stopped by one of her customers with a request. Find Miriam, a 15-year-old girl who has disappeared from her hiding place in this old woman's house. Here's an excerpt. What outcome does she think I can deliver? I wouldn't know where to start. Even if Miriam managed to escape, how far could a 15-year-old girl with a yellow Yoden star on her clothing get? I don't need to take Mrs. Johnson's money to know what will happen to a girl like Miriam. If it hasn't happened already, she'll be captured and she'll be relocated to a labor camp in Germany or Poland, the type from which nobody has yet to return. But how did she get out in the first place? Without meaning to, I'm also thinking of Miriam Roosevelt again. I'm annoyed with myself for wasting time thinking about that missing girl from the pantry, who I know nothing about, who could only get me into trouble. Except that I do know one thing about her, the film magazine on the shelf in the pantry. I'm almost positive that the photograph it was open to was a scene from The Wizard of Oz, a movie about a girl who gets caught in a tornado and wakes up in a fairyland. I so desperately wanted to see it, but it hadn't yet come to Holland when the war broke out, so I never saw The Wizard of Oz. But now I'm thinking of Judy Garland singing in Bass's parlor while Bass told me he loved me on the sofa, and we laughed and memorized the words to her song. Bass would have agreed to help Mrs. Johnson, I'm sure of that, without a doubt. Bass would have said that this was our chance to do something real and important. Bass would have said it like it was an adventure. Bass would have said, obviously you'll decide to help her too. The girl I love would completely agree with everything I'm saying, because Bass wouldn't know anything about the kind of girl I am now. And what would I say in return? I would say, you think I would agree with everything you're saying? You're awfully full of yourself. Or I would say, my parents depend on me to keep us all alive. Helping Mrs. Johnson means endangering my whole family. Or I would say, things are different now, Bass. You don't understand. I would give so much to be able to say anything to him. Anything at all. Finding this girl is not who I am anymore. That action is soft. I am practical. That action is hopeful. I'm not. The world is crazy. I can't change it. So why am I still thinking about Miriam Roosevelt? And why do I know that this afternoon, unless I manage to talk myself out of it, I'll go back to Mrs. Johnson? Will Hanneke find Miriam? Will she discover how and why Miriam left her hiding place? Will Hanneke be caught by watchful German soldiers? This story has danger, regret, suspense, and surprising twists, along with an element of a locked dream mystery. Girl in the Blue Coat by Monica Hess. So today you've looked at 3 titles of historical fiction relating to World War II. As you can see, we have different perspectives. A Navajo soldier in the American Marine Corps, women aviators attached to the Royal Air Force, and a young woman in the occupied Netherlands. World War II is a rich, expansive topic, and there are so many stories to tell. Reading these stories makes you feel like you're living through history, and they may prompt you to do some research about some aspects of history you've never before considered. Thank you very much.